So on today's video, I want to talk to you about sourcing. It is the absolute number one way you make money in this business. So let's talk about it. So without any further ado, let's go. So let me be clear on this. Sourcing is how you make money in the reselling business, right? You know, you can be the best lister. You can have the fanciest looking listings. You can have 20,000 items in your eBay store, all that good stuff, right? But where it's at and how you make money in this game is how you go about sourcing. Are you going to be profitable once you actually list that item? So, you know, when we talk about sourcing, we're talking about having items that people want, right? Cheap items from China with no name brand that have no name brand recognition is not going to fare well for you in the eBay algorithm, right? And while it might be a cheap way to source items, it's going to be harder to convince your customer that that item is going to be better than brand A, right? Even though it is cheaper, people want brand name stuff, right? So also, once you get that brand name stuff, how are you buying it, right? If you have a $50 item that retails MSRP for $50 and you're into that item for 20, right? You're not going to, unless it's brand new with tags, you're still not going to make the full MSRP. You may end up making 35, 40 bucks, right? Just depending on the demand. It's all about demand. But, you know, if you are have that same item and you have that item for 10 bucks, well, you have a little bit more room to work with customers, right? You're going to have room to sell it for 25. Instead, your competitor has to sell that item for 35. Otherwise, after fees and shipping, they're really not going to make much, right? And the last thing you want to do is put in all this work and effort to make little to no money after shipping or just a few bucks, right? That's not worth it. We're not here to make minimum wage. The goal here is to maximize your time, maximize your product so that you can make either great supplemental income, or if you're doing this for on a full-time basis, you definitely want to triple your money that you put into that product, right? But it all starts with buying. So, you know, what items do we source, right? So to me, I'm looking for items that are shippable, okay? Smaller items, something that falls within the cubic shipping range of 18 inches in any given dimension. So if it's 18 by 18 by 18, that's going to allow me to ship it cubic. Now, of course, I don't want the item to be 18 because that's the maximum package size. So I want my item to be, you know, 15 by 15 by 15, really no longer than 15, 16 inches in any given dimension. So that's what I focus on. And, you know, I deal with electronics, I deal with health and beauty, but really if there's another type of item that's out there that I can come across that I can purchase for, let's say, 20 cents on the dollar or less, I'm interested. Especially if I do my searching here and it's sold 10, 20 times in the last month, I'm interested, right? So really, you can sell anything you want, but I like to focus on the niche. I like to focus on the niche of electronics and health and beauty. A lot of the palettes that I buy are already sorted out like that, manifested. So I usually get the type of items that I'm comfortable working with. Also, work with the type of items. Purchase the kind of items you enjoy working with. If it's clothing, we have some clothing here. We have some Poshmark stuff, but it's really saturated, and it's really hard to get a lot of leverage when you're buying pallets of clothing, even though they're new. I mean, we bought some shelf pulls from Macy's, right? We're talking Free People and Lucky Brand, things like that. and we still have a whole bunch of it, and we're really competitively priced. And so there's just a lot of saturation in the clothing market. I like electronics because it's a fast moving market, right? There's just a high demand for electronics. But with that said, there's a high risk. You're looking at 25% of your items in a customer returns pallet being non-functional, or in some cases swapped out by the customer when they return the item, and it's not even the brand that's supposed to be in the package. Something to consider there. What items are you going to source? You can do retail arbitrage. That's going into a Walmart, Target, right? Finding something on the clearance rack and looking it up on your phone, whether you send it into to Amazon for FBA or you're relisting it on eBay. People do that all the time, and that's one way you can do it. Thrifting, that's another way. Go to thrift stores, yard sales, estate sales, and there's people who spend their weekend on looking at other people's stuff, and a lot of times you can get stuff for $1 here, $2 there, flip it for 40 or 50. Those are all awesome ideas, right? So just something to consider there. Thrifting is really a good way to do it. If I'm ever around and a yard sale, I really don't go to thrift stores very much, but a yard sale, that type of thing, I see something that's, wow, it's a new pair of whatever, I'll pick them up and sell them. Sure, they'll go right in my store. I deal with liquidation. So I deal most of my stuff online. There are liquidators where you can go to their warehouse and you can look through the pallets. Usually those pallets are not manifested. Manifested meaning that there's every item in that lot is accounted for. So you're probably going to get something when you go in person that here's the box. You can look inside the top, but it's as is. Whereas if you do it online, a lot of times they are manifested. There are some that'll give you just a general MSRP for the entire lot and tell you how many pieces are in there, and they'll give you a generic photograph of maybe the top of the box and the side of the box, and then it's just up to you to do your due diligence, right? So that's what I do. Everyone has their own way of doing it. Online retail arbitrage is another way, where you can simply, instead of going to Target or Walmart, driving a few miles here, a few miles there, you could do it from your home. Find something that's on, maybe it's on clearance online. You see that it's selling for full price on eBay, Amazon. Maybe that's another way you can buy items and source items for your business. So whatever works best for you, but the bottom line is, if you're not making a decent profit to make it worth your time, you shouldn't be doing this business. I want to close out what I do to calculate profitability. So it's not enough for me to say make sure your items are profitable, right? And just give you a generic statement and you're like, well, okay, that's helpful, right? So what I do is this. I have a 40-40 rule. So what I do is I take, and this is liquidation, but you can take the sum of what you're buying, okay? Let's say you buy 5 items at a thrift store, okay? And the sum of those 5 items, the MSRP of those items is approximately $100. So for me, that means if I have 5 items at $100, I'm calculating 40% of that is what I expect to make off of that, or those 5 items, right? So I expect to make, now we're talking MSRP. This is new final price if it was brand new. Now if you're at a thrift store, chances are you're not going to find new items. So, but you want to give a general MSRP. Let's say it's $100. I'm expecting to make $40. So if I'm expecting to make $40, I want to be into that for 40% of what I plan to make. So I take that $40, take my calculator on my smartphone, and multiply that by 40%. And that roughly runs, if I had to just throw a guess, it's about $17, $18, right? So I don't want to spend any more than $17 or $18 for those 5 items that MSRP is 100 because I want to make 40 bucks, if that makes sense, right? So I'm into those 5 items for 17, 18 bucks, and my cost is like almost 4 bucks for each item, and I plan on making 8 or 9 bucks, right? That's how you want to make money in this game. But that's a real quick and fast way to calculate how much you're going to make, and if a lot is even profitable. You can do that with 1 item. You can do that with 5 items. You can do that with a lot of 100, 200 items. I apply that towards mine. If I have a $3,000 lot, MSRP, and I do some homework on eBay, see what it's selling for. That's number one. You want to see what it's selling for. What do I expect to make per each item? I don't want to be in that lot for really more than 40% of what I expect to make. So on that $3,000 lot, I multiply it by 0.4, 40%. I expect to make approximately what, $1,200-$1,300, right? So if it's $1,200-$1,300, 40% of that, I don't want to be into that for more than 500 bucks. And that's with shipping if I'm having it shipped to me, or if I'm picking it up locally, that saves you money. That's what I do. And that's a tried and true formula, and I think it translates well over to anything. I'm buying 100 of this item online. I'm going in buying all these items on clearance. What am I expecting to make per item on eBay as compared to the MSRP of that item, and sort of calculate 40% of what you expect to make, you want to be into that item for. So hopefully that makes sense. That's how I source. That's how you should source. Now, if you want to make that a 35-35 rule, maybe if you can get away with that, being into that item for 35%, maybe you'll make 50%. Maybe you'll make 60-70%. So, but I use 40-40 as a conservative rule of thumb that I can sort of count on when I'm buying these large lots of items that I buy. So what do you do to source? Maybe I missed something here. What are some strategies you use to source when you're sourcing? How much you're paying, what you're trying to be in an item for? Like, for instance, liquidation.com. That's a popular liquidation site. And I try not to be into an item for more than 20% of MSRP. And I see a lot of people going 30-40%, and I just scratch my head and just wonder, how are you making money, right? So share your ideas below, and please like the video, please subscribe to my channel, and I'm trying to build up a base of followers, and the more you like and subscribe, the more YouTube will promote my video so other people can actually see it. And I'm putting a lot of time into this, and I'm just trying to get some leverage and to get some viewership. So without any further ado, I'm going to let you go, but be on the lookout for some more videos coming soon. We'll talk to you later.